And good morning, traders. Jay the Trader trading this morning's whispers from the Stock Whisperer, Stephanie Kammerman. So a little late to the party here this morning, as I have a lot of pre-market duties at home to take care of. So we're just getting in. I don't usually like to trade the first 10 minutes of the market opening. Cuts down on the whipsaw volatility trading. So we're setting up our charts here courtesy of TradeStation. So before we get going, I'll just show you around the charts. We're looking at the SPY here on a 5-minute. We do have our trading matrix down below, and we'll set that color up to follow one of the charts. We'll just follow the blue charts here, and we can move that at our discretion. We have the daily charts down here. We're watching 3 different stocks this morning on 3 different whisper numbers. USO, UNG, and SNAP. So let's get our line set up on this morning's whispers, and here's how we'll do it. So I'm looking down at my printout sheet here. These are the whisper numbers. They come out every morning, and I just print them out, highlight them, and we'll see how those trades work out. So let's set up our lines. First on USO, we are going to be bullish above 1252. So let's get that line in there. That's 1253. And we will be bearish below 1211. We are already there. But again, the time right now is 9:37, so we're going to hold off, make sure we get that first at least 10 to 15 minutes in on the market before we enter the trades. Over here on natural gas, we're bullish above 2330, which is right here, and we're going to be bearish below 23, the whole number. So we're already there. It looks like the last print was 2292, so we'll see what happens here. So there's 23. And last but not least, we traded Snap yesterday for a profitable trade, and we're going to be bullish above 17, so we'll just move yesterday's number up to 17, the whole number, and you can see we already topped it, and had you taken that trade immediately, you'd be down coming up on 25 cents. So that's why I'm waiting for the first 10-minute, I like to call it the washout. Let all those folks who need to either get in or get out take care of it. So we're going to remove this line here, and we will be bearish below 1650. All right, so we're coming up here on the first 10 minutes, and let's see how things work out. So nothing beats trading with a good cup of coffee. And this is going to be my first attempt at trading the whispers live here. I am using a live account, so any trades that you see will be in a live account with real money, with real wins, losses, or break-evens. The concept here is to show the whisper numbers and how good they are in trading. Okay, we're not here to make $1,000 today. We're not even going to trade that big. I'll probably stay 300 shares or less. And again, as I said in last night's video, the first video I put out there on YouTube, I'm not trading to hit grand slams, and I am not trading to make $1,000 a day. I am trading to hit targets and be a consistent, disciplined trader. So let's see where this brings us. Now I'm going to edit this video because I'm sure there'll be a lot of just plain downtime here waiting for the numbers to get close. USO and UNG, they're slow movers. Snap seems to be bouncing around a little bit. So we'll see. Looks like Snap is coming down. We're still 16 cents away from our bearish entry. And let's go over our targets. So let's set up our targets. If we were to go short on Snap, and you can see me looking up because I'm looking up at the monitor that's behind me and getting that all set up for targets. And we have a target of, the first target on Snap will be 1637. All right, so we're going, there's 1637. And we can blow this chart up a little bit, give us a little bit more, and we'll make that line a little bit thicker so you can see the targets, and we can change those colors. So we'll make those colors something that is a little bit offset from every other color here. Let's just make them, we'll make them teal. All right, 1637. Then we're going to shoot for the third target of 1625. So we'll format that line at 1625. A nice feature of TradeStation, you can make all these changes right here. That looks like the right size, and we didn't get teal in there, so make them all the same. And the last target down at 1612, so we'll drag that down. There we go. Color teal, and the weight will be there. All right, so so we got those targets set up so you can see them. I don't have them up on the bullish side since we got a couple of down candles here. So here we come. On Snap, we're going to be bearish below 1650. So let's get our matrix ready. And we are yellow. Looks like we might be a little bit late here because I'm working things out, and we are going to short at 16. I'm going to put a stop market in there, and we'll go 1649. Sell short 1649, and our orders in. You can see that she came down and touched. UNG has left the paddock without us, and first target was 2286, and the whisper number was correct. All right, so let's see. Had you taken that short pre-market, which I did not do because I said I was waiting the first 10 minutes. That's my rule. That's what I'm going to stick to. We have hit the first target on UNG. Our second target down is 2275 right there. So, and we'll make those a little bit bigger. The weight. So as you can see, we are not in Snap as of yet. Okay, we're not in Snap. It came down, hit the 50-cent level, and has not broken through. Okay, now on UNG, what I'm going to do is I am going to wait for a pullback to, let's see, last trade. Can't really see that. So let's put UNG up on the big board behind me on my other machine. And we are going to...
Filled.
Right, okay, so we are now short 300 shares of Snap. Our first target on the downside is 1637, so we are going to cover 100 shares at 1638 in front of the number, buy to cover.
Order rejected.
Order is rejected because I put in a stop market. You got to change, you got to check your thing. So here we go. We're going to put an order to cover there. Second target was 1625, so we'll go down and put it in at 1626. And what will be our stop? We're going to give 30, we're going to give it, we're going to let this go a little bit. I like to let it run. We usually run a 4-cent stop loss on Snap, but I'm going to give it a little bit higher than that. And we are going to set our stop loss to start with up here at the top of the candle. So at 60, we're going to give it a little bit of a leeway of 13 cents. Okay, so if it hits that, we are going to close the trade and take our loss. So you see that UNG did hit its first target and now it's bouncing up. We're still showing some down candles on the SPY, so we're still trending down. And we will just sit and wait. We're in the no trading zone right now. We're just coming down. It only broke by a penny. USO is a very slow moving stock, so you have to be very patient with that one. So as we sit and wait, I will take care of some other things that we're doing here on monitoring the training room of the dark pool, Stock Whisper training room. So what I'm looking up at, you can probably see my eyes looking up. I'm looking behind me on a larger screen. And on Snap, we have a pivot point at 57. And we have a pivot point at, gotta get up to see it. You get old, you get bad eyes. At 66, the next pivot point is up. And let's blow this chart up since that's the one we're looking at. Here's our bearish blow. First target, 37. You can see these small lines here indicating per 100 shares profit and loss. Okay, so what are we looking at here? This is a 4 EMA, 8 EMA, and a 15 EMA. And a cup of Starbucks. Now, one of the things that is keeping emotions in check is that we're watching the chart and we are seeing what this chart is saying to us. Okay, so we're below all three of the moving averages, and we are going to hold the position until we see some upward momentum on those moving averages. We like to go short. I like to go short when the 4 crosses below the 8, and when the 8 crosses below the 15 is also a good thing. So we got those moving averages above us protecting us. If we decide to get out, it most likely will be on the decision of the moving averages angling higher. So we're going to wait for the moving average to kind of swoop around. I found that in the trading, getting out way too early on a lot of these mini pullbacks and not trusting the moving averages. So get out on a slight 1 candle 5-minute pullback, and she remains in rides. She remains below the 4 or below the 8 and continues to ride down. You can see that on American Airlines. I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago. Traded American. I got out on a slight pullback, and then she rode down another 20 or 30 cents. Okay, so we're still down. We're going to wait until a break of the moving average. Watching the cues behind me, and we can put this back. Let's see what everything else is doing. Okay, so you did hit your first target. If she goes above 23, you see the 15 EMA here on UNG coming back down. It's coming down, and it is about a penny above the average here. Moving average on the 161 on the 15. It's right at 23 now. So what are these other lines here on the computer? These are Parsons pivots, and these are pivot points. We do have 2 green. We have a gold line here and a green line here, and the pivots are indicating. In this case, this was yesterday, so we're over here to the right, and what are those indicating? Those are Parsons pivot points. Those are the pivot points that computers and traders are using to trade off of. All right, so let's see what happened to our Snapchat. Oh, you know what? We had zoomed in, so let's zoom back out. We're up at 64. We're getting ready to get out of this trade, and it looks as though this first attempt of snap might not work out, but we're still showing some red candles and some down momentum on the cues, so let's just hang in here. SPY is still below the 4. Snap is moving up. She's at 66 on a pivot point. Let's get out of that. On our other charts, Camarillo pivot point, and she's moving higher. We're going to have to let this candle play out let the candle play out. You see she stopped right at the 15. Last 3 candles on the Qs are green. And let's see what the SPY's doing. SPY has a good sized green candle. You see USO went below the bearish line. Let's see, by, what's the bottom of that? 5 cents. So USO is a pretty slow moving stock. It's a good stock if you are new to trading large size. You don't get much whipsaw there. So there's a little bit of buying pressure down here at 300 on the S&P, and we're at 306. So if she breaks below 300, I mean, that is just such a significant line. We could see some downward movement again on everything. And we're going to try to enter natural gas at for a small trade. It'll be a small trade since we're only going to go from 86. So we'll probably get in at 85 and get out at 76. It's just a 9-cent trade. Now we do like to see a close below, where here on this, for example, the difference between entering on a break of the line and a close of the line. This was a fantastic doji candle actually, and it did close below the bearish entry, but as soon as it closed, 1 second later it jumped up and was above. So there's been 1 pre-market and 2, so comes back around. That could be a great short entry. So let's change this to green color, so we get that lime green in there. And then we can go in at a stop limit. Actually, we'll just go stop market. And we're going to stop market. We'll do 300 shares because we're going to exit out. Well, for demonstration purposes, we only have 2 more targets left. So we'll go in with 200 shares. And we're going to set that short with a stop market at 80. Let's go 84. We're going to give it a penny. I'll put it at 85. Okay, so that order is under the open orders. So you can see right here. Here it is. Now, here's a good example of what I mentioned earlier about getting out on a quick pullback. Now, we don't know exactly what Snap's going to do right now, but the trend is still down. And had we jumped out at this candle before the moving averages turned and went higher, now see, we got a little bit of an up slope here, not quite 45 degrees, but it's an upslope, so you want to keep an eye on that. But there's been no moving average crossovers with anything closing above the 8. That 8 exponential moving average is pretty strong. Again, I'm only trading small share size. Again, the concept with any of the whisper numbers, you say, oh, how can he make any money with that first target at $10? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant how much money you make on your share size. If you can consistently learn how to hit price points that you know that computers are trading off of, your share size is scalable. So I don't need to go in with 1,000 shares on Snap to impress anybody or to impress myself. What's impressive to myself is that I can follow some rules, that I can hit targets, and that when the time is right and we start making 1,000 share block trades, I have complete confidence in myself to where I'm going with it and when I'm getting out. So we're just watching the charts, letting the charts tell us what to do. I know it's a slow process, and some people might say, this is too slow, but to each their own. Nothing passes a time like a good cup of coffee. So right now we're just being patient. With the trades, you can see that this line here, this bearish below line at 22.86, actually that was a target. My mistake. Bearish below 23 was up here. So this was our first target. See how she came down, hit the target, and now my entry. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for my next entry here. Now normally when I was trading, my next entry would be below 80 cents, the 20-cent line. So I'd be at 79, but the risk reward entering at 79 to 75, it's only 4 cents. It won't even just barely cover your commission costs. So the market is up a little, just a teeny bit here on the SPY. We'll blow the SPY chart up because now we're just passing time. And I'm only going to trade till 10:30, and then I am going to be off to the gym and taking care of other things. I don't like to trade past 10:30 or 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. When everybody leaves for lunch and a lot of stops get run, so I don't like to enter a trade between 10:30 and 12 o'clock Central Time or 11:30 and 1 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm not doing much trading, just basically just sitting and watching the positions, managing positions that I have. So we don't see any upward, just a slight. We're not seeing anything. If we start to see that push up, angle up strong, then we will cover our short and live for another day. Again, I'm in risk management here, so I'm more concerned about managing my risk on this trade than I am about how much money I'm going to make. So a lot of times we're left as traders to just fiddle with our charts and be patient. All right, so 2 out of the 3 whispers we are not in. So let's take a look. And I'm only using the smaller whisper numbers because a lot of them are on high price stocks, and I'm not going to buy 300 shares of Apple. So let's take a look at AMD and see how that worked out this morning. So here's AMD, 5-minute chart, daily chart. What are we showing? AMD is it's kind of consolidating here on the daily chart. We can draw a box around this area of, a lot of times I use different platforms, and whether you double click or single click draws the lines. So AMD was bullish above 3106. So let's see, bullish above 3106. There's 3106. And AMD, which in any case, I just don't have a love feeling for AMD. It's not a stock that I like to trade. Okay, now so here's what we're looking at. So see how on the 5-minute chart the 4 has started to angling up, and that was a good sign there, right there on that doji candle at 22.92. You could have put your stop if you were short at such as in my case, or you could have let it run out with a little bit smaller size and covered above the whole number 23. So where are we here? We're at Snap. We're at 1647 entry point. As you can see, 1647, and we do have our numbers put in there. Now you can say, let's see, 1647, less commissions, $1 in, $1 out on TradeStation for me. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, less than $10. It'd be a $10 profit. But if you had 1,000 shares and you took the entire 1,000 out, it'd be a $100 profit. So again, all scalable. So let's see if this was kind of like, I don't know what you want to call it, a fake pullback. So let's see here. See what those moving averages are doing. Okay, so AMD, back to AMD, we're bearish below 3060, and first target is going to would be 3044. So let's just put that up there. Even though we're probably not going to trade it, we can still see if she works out. We'll give it a color, and then we'll weight it. And really, the goal of these videos is not to see how much money I can win or lose, but it's to prove that, well, actually not to prove, but to just show the value of the whisper numbers. Okay, so if you wake up in the morning and you are not, let's see, hold on before I keep talking. We're going to format this line. And the data point that we're looking for the first target is 30.44. We'll watch the line move. So it will be short here at 59. And we're looking for about a 15-cent move. If you're tired of getting up and scanning, you get confused, I have no idea what to trade, the Whisper numbers are for you. Okay, it's available on an app, it's available on Android and iPhone, and all during the day. Whispers are sent out on a push notification. It is a small fee per month, one of the best products out on the market to stay in touch with the market for trade ideas, for consistent quality trade ideas. And that's what we're showing here. So we're looking at today's Whisper numbers. Okay, so we're still not seeing any upward move of that moving averages on Snap. Okay, so we're looking at UNG here. Again, we do have some upward movement, but so far she's stuck below the 8, so we'll see what happens. So you see how powerful that these moving averages are. I mean, she went right up and just touched the 15, came back down. Again, came right up, touched the 8, and since this case we're short, we're happy that she fell back. But you can use these moving averages for guidelines. Let's see. Okay, I know that Annalise and Jay attempted to help you as well. Okay, so I'm going to kind of look off to the right here for a second. I'm in the training room, monitoring the training room, and I'm going to take care of some things, and we'll just watch the screen. All right, we're back. Okay, so you see that AMD is now at below. So let's short. I'm only going to see if I can get it in here quick enough. And whoops. Now see, this is a good example of making sure you're on the right screens, okay? So let's go short the market since we are below.
Order filled.
We're in at 57. Where's our stop out? Will be above, a close above, since it's 10-cent loss on 100 shares. We're going to shoot for the first target. And the second target below that will be 30.20. So we can just set, again, we're not worrying about making a ton of money. We're just confirming the value of the Whisper numbers. So we're at, the first Whisper would be at 44, so we want to get out, I'm going to get out 2 cents ahead of it. Okay, so we'll buy the cover on the limit.
Order rejected.
And because I don't have that set for limit, that's the second time I did that. So we'll cover at 46 just in case she gets down there. You saw the line pop up here. And again, we're watching the 15 now because it is only 100 shares, so it would be a $10 takeout. Okay, so we're in on AMD and we're in on Snap still. So Snap's just kind of just hanging around that 56 level. Now again, the purpose of trading, and this was something that I had to reprogram in my head after many years of unsuccessful trading, was I'm not doing this video to prove any of these stock trades right. I don't have to prove to myself or anybody that the trade is right. What I do have to prove is that I can handle risk management. If you can handle the risk management and get out of forcing to make the market prove that you're right, you will be a successful trader. So that's what we're going to do. Now, when we do hit our targets, it's a good feeling. But let the market prove that you were right. Don't you prove to the market. Okay? And much easier said than done at some points. Okay, so let's zoom in on where we are on AMD. And I like to put the targets in as soon as I'm entering the trade. I do like to put my targets for exit in as quick as possible. That way, in case there is a lightning bolt down or up to those targets, they get hit. You know, I don't wait for them to get close, and I don't wait for a market order. If you wait, or in my case, if I wait for the stock to come down to the target, and then I'm going to stick a market order in there, that little greed monster in the back of your head will start going off saying, well, I think it might go down a little bit more. Let's not sell out too quick. I mean, why make such and such amount when you can, maybe there's a chance of making even more. So all right, so we're still watching. We're long here. AMD is shooting up, so we are going to get the closeout button ready. Snap is still kind of fooling around here, although the 4 and the 8 and the 15 are starting to get a little bit closer together, so we're going to watch that. And the SPY is turning up. It's about to break a Parsons pivot. It got kind of stuck there on that Parsons pivot, which is a study that's available for free on TradeStation. AMD is pushing up. We can start to see some upper movement here on that 4. But this is sometimes a long, slow process. All right, we see some movement upwards on AMD. So we are on AMD here on the matrix, and we'll get ready to close out the trade. Okay, we have the 4. We'll zoom in on that. Now, since we got 100 shares, we're going to let it go. We're going to let that candle. That's a big push up. The Qs still are on a red candle, but we're going to wait and see where she closes. Okay, we're still at the same level of the 4 and the 8. So we're just going to sit tight and don't hesitate and don't get scared. Losing money, losing trades are all part of the game. Now, if you keep your losers smaller than your winners, you are a professional trader. Okay? So you have to kind of make a decision here. We closed, this is a good example. We closed above the 4. We also closed above the 8 twice, almost 3 times, but we had no crossover. Okay, we had no crossover. So we actually went from 97 to, so 7 cent range. But notice how we didn't close above. And the time right now is, I have everything but the times up on my screens. 22. So we got 3 minutes left for this candle to close. Now this is a good a good sign. Usually if you wait, if it once it hits a line or breaks through that support line, and then maybe 20 minutes later we come back down, the push through is usually a little bit greater 20 or plus minutes later. So these are 5-minute candles, so we're 5, 10, 15, 20, so we got 2 hits here. So obviously there's a little bit of buying here at the whole number. But if this rolls around and comes back through and can push through, we got a real good shot at getting down to that first target. So normally we like to risk 4 cents to make 20 on the initial trade, but you can't. You can see right here from the candles, 4 cents on AMD. The true range of all of these candles is far greater than 4 cents. So you'd be almost knocked out instantaneously above it. So now we have a crossing of 4 and 8, but we still have about another minute to go for that candle to, the SPY is moving higher, so we're probably going to get out on the close of this candle. So now again, the stop is much greater than 4 cents, but because the share size is smaller, we can allow it to run a little bit more, because even if we're stopped out dollar value wise, it's still low and it's recoverable. It won't be a $200 loss or a $100 loss. You don't want to go in on your first few trades and walk away with a $100 loss. So this candle looks pretty strong, but we're gonna wait. Here comes natural gas down to 86, so we'll see if we enter into that trade.
Order filled.
Okay, we're now into UNG, and we are exiting out of the AMD trade in blue. And are we in blue? Let's see, we are not. So we're going to be a little bit late on the exit. We're going to close that trade out, buy the cover, and we're out of the trade. So yeah, we almost had under a 30-cent loss, but we are out, and that dollar amount will be recoverable. All right, so let's go back to UNG. First time making, it's taking me a little bit extra to get the trades in here. So UNG, we are in with 200 shares. We're going to make our first 100 shares. 1 penny ahead of we're still on AMD, so I got to get to green here, so bear with me. And we are in at 84. Our first target is going to be 100 at 76. And then we're going to be down at 59. But because the 5/8 number is 62, we're going to cover the last 100 at 63. Okay. So I'm not showing total P&L because that's not what we're concerned about. What we're concerned about is getting in and getting out. When we got out at 73. So I'm going to leave that AMD chart up just to see where she goes from there. Now we can try to take it again once she comes back down again below 30.60. All right, UNG is coming down, possibly going to hit our first target. Again, we're not worried about the dollar value. We're worried about hitting the target. So 75 is, you know, a 3/4
Order filled.
Okay, so we hit our first target, and we're continuing south now, down to 63. The reason I put it at 63, even though the target on UNG is 60, is because 62 is the 5/8 number. Computers are still trading off the eighths. So I want to get out in front of that. So we're going to try to ride the express train down. I call that 4 EMA. We call that the express train. And there's the local train here, the 8 EME. So we're going to try to ride that down and see if we can hit that second target. And we'll exit that second target at 63. Snap. Still playing around. We're using the moving averages as our guide to get out. You can see where we entered the trade here. We were just, well, we were perfect on the timing there. And then we were just watching the moving averages. We finally had a crossover on this big candle. We were waiting for it to close, and we waited for it to close because we were so, the size of the trade was small, so we could let it run a little bit greater. Now in this case, if we're looking at AMD, we'll be real happy that we got out even here, which if I had had 300 shares would have been a bigger loss. I mean, 1,000 shares would have been a tremendous loss. And if she kept going, we'd be really happy with ourselves. But if she rolls over and turns around, we should still be happy with ourselves because we have a plan and we stuck to it and we managed the risk. What happens to the stock after you exit, after your plan has been executed, really is irrelevant because you're not in it anymore. Now, if it rolls over and comes back down and goes and hits this, we could have said, well, if we had just stayed in and gave it another couple of cents, well, what if you do give it another couple of cents and she just continues higher on you? And now you are a bag holder and you have become a short-term investor because now you're invested in the stock because you're just in recovery mode and you're not trading. Okay, so we're just here to trade the numbers. All right, so Snap is still fiddling around. We are almost an hour into the day, so we have basically waited an hour, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes from our entry for it to break below. But we already have our exits already pre-planned. Now, one thing we do have to watch out for here is the 161 extended moving average. It's below us, so it's going to struggle here. If it gets down, I'm going to bet that it's going to stop and fiddle around here at 42, and then once she breaks, we should get a good break down to 37. And here's a good example about risk management and share size and relying on your indicators, okay? Had we got out here on this green candle, because you saw, oh goodness gracious, it's green, we do have a nice wick down here. Okay, she broke through the 161. It should be an easy shot down here to 37. And I believe we are exiting at, let's see, let's change this over to yellow. And we're down here at 37. So we'll wait. But back to what I was saying, if you waited, if this green candle scared you, you would have been shaken out of the trade. And then as you see, it's been basically just a slow ride down. It's just riding those EMAs down. So, you know, the best case scenario would be a close above the 8 EMA. Closing above the 4 EMA is not too bad. But if you're closing above the 8 and they have crossed over, that should really be a real strong line on the sand. If she's closing above the 15, then the 4 and the 8 have crossed over. That should be, you know what, I'm going to get out of this trade, regroup, and rethink this out. Okay, so the low is at 38, which is really where we probably should have set our stop. I mean our exit, because 37 is the 3 ace number. But we're just going to leave it there. We should have had it at 38. But again, the bid would have been 38 by 39. So even if we had it at 38, we wouldn't have executed, because we're buying back on the ask and not the bid. Again, we're in UNG at 76 right here. I mean, we were out of UNG at 76, and we still have 100 shares. So again, here's the pullback to the 4. And let's see if we can get down to 63. Okay, so we're going to take a time out here. We're just an hour and 6 minutes into the trading day. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and see where we are in just a little bit. All right, thanks for watching. Okay, so welcome back. How's our trades working? We do have two pivot points, one at 1657 and one at 1658, which we're at right now on Snap. So we are getting ready to exit the trade on a touch of 60. It'll be a 13-cent stop loss. But if we break those pivot points, we are going to exit the trade. So we're going to get ready with the closed button. And I'm going to take that off so I keep my account numbers fine. And I have my finger on the trigger. And we close.
Order filled.
So we're out of Snap, 300 shares. We entered it. We entered Snap at 47, and we fully exited the trade at 61. So that was a little bit bigger stop loss than we would normally take. We did hit. We almost hit our first target, but we didn't, and now we went into risk management, and you see it's continuing higher, so we did the right thing by taking the risk. So now this might turn out to be a negative day on the P&L statement. Again, if it is, it's going to be very small and it's going to be very manageable. So now the last trade that we're in here is UNG with a target of 63. So that's the only stock we're in. We made 3 trades. We're coming up on quarter of 10, and I think that will probably be it for the day. 3 trades, 2 losers, 1 winner. But it's all right. Not sure what the profit and loss is. Not even going to look at that till the end of the day. As Kenny Rogers says, there's time enough for counting. So what I'm concentrating on is doing risk management correctly and pulling the trigger to get out. So we see AMD with a little bit of consolidation here, but we're not going to get back in. We're up here, still 12 cents away from the bearish line. Looks like the SPY is coming back down. You'd like to see the SPY get below 300. That should pull everything down. Blow up the snap chart and analyze what we have here. Now in this case, as I said earlier, that is the ultimate line in the sand, a close above the 15 EMA. We still didn't close with a crossover here of the 4 and 8 on this candle. So but we did close above the 15. So once you do that, it's a definite, that's it, game over. And you see, it took to the next 5-minute candle to have a little bit of a crossover with a little bit of background between the lines. So she might turn back around. We could possibly get back into Snap, but again, now all of a sudden we're looking at 43 as a first target because of this 161. As I remember, if you remember, I said back here when we were coming down, this 161 EMA line is going to be something that we need to break through. Yes, we did, but we didn't close below that. Now maybe we should have covered here. This is in hindsight, knowing that we broke through it but didn't close below it, and then we opened in green above the 161. We could have possibly just closed the trade there fully, but the game plan was to follow it down, so I'm going to stick with the game plan. All right, so UNG is coming back down, riding that nicely down on a beautiful 45-degree angle. And we'll get the charts back. I don't see it. There's nothing in between here like there was in Snap between the entry and the first target. There's no walls or anything. All right, so let's get back to green. And again, this being my first video, learning the setup of the video platform to do all this, to keep some stuff that I want to see private off the screens, to get used to it. We definitely lost a couple of pennies on these trades due to timing, getting over here and getting things in on the right side. Okay, so do we want to take AMD again short? We can certainly try. We'll just go in with smaller share size, because we're not going to revenge trade. We're just going to try to hit the targets. So in order to do that, we need to zoom out a little bit, and you're ready again. The first target was 40 on AMD. The first down target was 44. Okay, we got everything breaking. Now see, here's another interesting thing. With the smaller your share size, you see the 8 never crossed over the 15. Okay, so we're breaking through. Again, a delay in myself getting ready for the trade. We got to get back to blue, and we're going to take 100. We'll go with 100 shares. We're going to short the market. We're below 60, and
Order filled.
we're short. First, we're going to take. We're going to divide that in half with a target of 44, so we're going to be out at 46, 2 cents in front of it. Buy the cover, and there's our order. Again, it's only $6 on the 50 shares, but we're not shooting to recover our losses. We're shooting to learn how to use the system and hit targets. So I don't like to increase the share size the second time around, because then it's a revenge trade. Just a personal opinion. Why revenge? If you're down and you recover some of your losses, that's good. That's a winning trade. Again, remember, the winning trade is hitting your targets and staying to your rules. When you start to revenge trade, you're not trading to the rules. You're trading emotionally. Okay? So the Qs have turned down. The SPY has turned down. Some nice candles. So let's see. We do have a pivot point below us at 52, so we got to break through that. And then if we break through 52, we should have no problem hitting that first target. Again, AMD is not one of my favorite stocks to trade. But we are demonstrating the whisper numbers this morning. Now, so one of the whisper numbers this morning was FCX. And I am not sure why I cannot get, for some reason, FCX is not coming up on the 5-minute chart. So let's see if we can get it on the 10. Maybe it's just that 5-minute chart, but I couldn't get it to come up earlier. All right, let's go to another stock. Let's just go back to USO. Put it back on the 5-minute charts. I like to stay on whatever chart time frame I'm on. I like to stick with that, and we were on UNG. Waiting for the data. And I am not sure why we're having such an issue with certain symbols on certain charts. Maybe it's just that particular chart, or it's that symbol. For some reason, we're having issues. Let's try to change the time frame on this. Okay, so it's got to be the 5-minute chart. There's something wrong here with that. So unfortunately, now we're watching UNG, which is green. We'll have to watch it from here. And our target is down at 63. We're at 74. Again, we're back in AMD with 100 shares, so we're not revenge trading. It did come back up. We're taking actually it's the third time back through. We'll see if it's 3 times or is a charm, with our target down here at 46. Now we're getting up to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock Eastern time, so we might just take the entire trade off the table here if we can hit our first target, and then we can break for lunch, and that'll be it. All right, so let's try to bring up a new chart. Let's see. Let's just copy this. Let's copy this chart here, and we'll paste it here, and we'll see if we can get United States natural gas. And for some reason, we're having trouble with that ticker symbol. So we're just going to watch natural gas down here in our matrix. So if we do hit our target on natural gas, it's a good example of, yes, we missed the initial entry, but we stayed with it and entered below the first target. So you just because you miss in the entry of the bullish above or bearish below doesn't mean you can continue, that the stock can't continue in that direction. You just have to get at the appropriate levels. So we noticed snap. What did we get out? We got out a snap at 61. We're at 63. If she does.
I'm going to begin in just 1 second. Let me just put on my...
And close off the volume on the other computer. AMD kind of went up, hit the 4. The Qs are just kind of moving sideways. So again, another game of patience. So without that chart of natural gas up on my screen, which I'm unable to do, I'm going to maximize it on my screen that's behind me. And let's see what kind of pivot points we have behind me. So right now we're showing some Parsons pivot points that I like to use. I like to use two different pivot points, Parsons and Camarillo. And we are showing Parsons pivots. I'm looking behind me. You can see me at 87. We broke. And we have a Camarillo pivot at 80. Would be 2280. Below us, we do have the last Parsons pivot, the last Camarillo pivot down at 61. And that's why we're going to get out in front of it if we go that far. But I'm looking at the screen behind me, which you cannot see, and we got a nice downward motion on the EMAs on natural gas. Excuse me. And I believe, after looking at my other charts, at S5 is at 61, and we're at 63. We're gonna change this order because it's coming up on noon. And what we're going to do is we'll cancel it. We're on UNG. We're going to cancel the order. And we're going to exit the full trade at 63. So we're going to buy to cover the full trade of 200
Order rejected.
At 63. So why did we reject it? We need to buy to cover. Let's see. Something's going on. Something's going on with the craziness of this platform this morning. Buy to cover 200 at 2263. It's below where we are.
Order rejected.
And we need to find out why. Do we? Oh, I know why. Because we have the. Do we have another order in there somewhere? That's why, because we've already hit our first target, and my mistake. Okay, so we only had 100 shares to begin with left, so there we go. So if it gets down there, we're going to do it. It's coming up on 11 o'clock Eastern time, and we do need to decide where we're going to exit this trade. And we have a Camarillo pivot point up at 2280. We are in at 84. The 5/8 number, or the 7/8 number, is at 87. So we're in at 84, and we are going to stick a buy to cover in at 22.89. So let's see if we can just buy to cover on a stop market order. As if we were to limit, then it would automatically have taken us out. So we're going to buy to cover 22.89.
Order rejected.
Order rejected because we already have one down here. So let's cancel our orders. We are going to, it seems discombobulated. Yes, it is, because I'm trying to work the king side of the system here. So we'll cancel all that order. Yes, we're going to cancel it. We're going to place an order here where I'm going to buy to cover on both sides. We're going to bracket order this. The pivot is at 7/8 numbers at 87. We're going 2 cents behind it because we only have 100 shares. And we are going to go for our target at 63. Okay. So now we're in. I can walk away. You see right here on the daily, because I can't get the 5 minutes up on UNG for some reason. It's not allowing me. So we'll see how that plays out. It will play out while I am away from the computer. All right, so let's go to AMD on my back screen and see where we're going. Since we're going to walk away and finish off this video, I'll come on later. I'll just edit it down to show you what came about of all these trades. So we do have a Parsons pivot way up at 30.71. So that should be our max. Here's the Parsons pivot on TradeStation at 30.72. Let's check where we are. We're in with 100 shares. So we can make this a little bit longer with 100 shares because that's only about a 12-cent loss. Again, if you're talking about a 30-cent loss, a 50-cent loss, a dollar loss, your stop loss are just a little bit too far out there. Okay, we did lose money on Snap. I think that was what, a 13-cent loss on Snap. So we got out at 61 and we were in at 47, so that's 14 cents. So 14.28. So we kept an under $50 loss. That's easy. That's easy to recover from. But 150, 200, those are tough. That's tough on you emotionally. Now, if I stand here or come back, we're going to let this trade on AMD play itself out until we get the crossovers. All right, because even if we do get a crossover, it'll happen in front of this 72. Okay, so here's a pivot point. You see how it rode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just kind of hung there and fell away. So we know they're selling up here. So we'll just let that ride down. Now again, it's got to break through this 52. So we want to see what's down below that. So we're going to go out to the 10-minute. And our second target is down here at 20. And then we can zoom in a little bit on that. Again, we don't need that, but since we can't see the UNG chart, I am going to put it up on my other screen. And we're up at 2280. And let's see if we got knocked out. Did we set that one? So we're in green. 2278. The 15 exponential moving average is at 83. So we're all set here. If it does break, we're going to take a small loss of 5 cents on the last 100 shares because we are in the business of risk management. Snap continues up a little bit slowly. So we're gonna let that just go as a losing trade. Didn't work out. And I can say that we were wrong. All right, let's zoom in on the AMD trade. And the AMD short filled at 58, so that we need to go to blue because I knew we weren't in the green there. We're just at break even right now. We're looking at the chart coming up to noontime. Is it coming up to noontime? No, it's only 11:11. Favorite number, favorite time of the day, 11:11 a.m. and 11:11 p.m. So we're going to set a stop loss here. Because we are going to walk away and come back later to see how we did. So we're going to cancel all those and say yes, we canceled out the trade, and we're going to set a stop loss behind the 5/8 line at 62. Now we do have the 15 at 64 and then at 65 5-cent level, so we're going to go at 66. So we'll put a bracket order in, and it started out at 68, but we're going to go to 66. We're behind the moving averages, and again, we'll move our exit out at 43. Okay, so we have both of our trades are set to exit on a stop loss or the hit of the target on both UNG and AMD. That's it for today. We're not going to trade. I don't like to trade into the lunch hour, so we're going to end the video and then we'll come back and see how we did. The video is going to run and then I'm just going to edit it. Alrighty, till then, thanks. Okay, so since we didn't revenge trade on AMD here, we're down at 48. We do have our profit target, our target at AMD 44. So we've placed half at 45, just $6.50. Okay, again, it's not about making money, it's about demonstrating the whisper numbers. That is my goal here. So we've decided to let it run down. We're going to let that 4 EMA go. We're now almost down to the 300 level. If we break 300, I'm looking for a push down. And we notice here on Snap, we exited the trade at 61 with 300 shares. She's now up at 76, so that's another 15 cents. Had we let it ride, that would have been 15 cents. Would have been another $45 in the loss category. So we've saved ourselves $45 by taking some risk management. We see AMD here struggling at this 52 Parson pivot point where the computers are still trading. Update on UNG. We can only pick this up on the daily chart. I'm not sure why it is not allowing me on any of these charts to pull up natural gas on the 5-minute time frame. And currently we're sitting at 22.79, and I'll pull that up over here on the chart that's behind me, and we're currently at 22.79. Again, still looking to exit here at our next target of 63. So the target was 60, and we're in UNG at 84. So we're taking a $5 stop to make 21. So that's almost a 4-to-1 profit to loss ratio. That's pretty good. So we're not too worried about the dollar amount. We're just worried about hitting the target. The target's at 63. We're up here at 79. All right, and looks like we're finally closed. We closed on it, but now we are below. We should get that drop down to 45 without any problem here. That should push right on down through. But let's see. SPY's going down. And we'll be back. I'm going to walk away and see if we hit our targets. We have our stop loss in right now. It's actually a little bit less than 1-to-1 on this first target. But again, it's 50 shares to get out here at this first target, and we're covering for a small loss if it goes against us on a non-revenge trade. So we're a penny away. So let's see if we hit here. First target, we're at 46. We're looking for 45. We could pull up a time and sales window for AMD. We're waiting for the data. And it looks like we're going to get that push down. There we go.
Order filled.
Order filled. So we've hit the first target on AMD for a small, and I do mean small, monetarily gain, but that's again what we're not looking for that. All right, so let's move this chart a little bit. We're going to have to pull the chart up, and there's our second target. We'll maintain the current scale. Again, our average is at 58. So we're down at 42. So there's no reason to allow this to turn into at this point in the day. I'm going to move my stop up, and it's going to be right behind the 50-cent line. And no matter what, we will make something on this trade. It will not be a losing trade. We're at 53. 53 is the 8 EMA, and it's 3 cents above the whole number. So with the SPY going down, we should get down here to 27. So I'll be back in a little bit. Natural gas is just kind of hanging in there at 79. It seems to like that number, and we'll see how it goes. So I'll be right back. We have our stops in. We can walk away. Okay, looks like we might get stopped out on Ameritrade. Ameritrade. AMD. I traded Ameritrade the other day. It's up on my other screen. Look at that one. Right up and hit that pivot point at 52. We're a penny above it. So let's hope that it just stays there. So is UNG even moving? Let's pull up. It's moving awfully slow. Snap, now at 84, and we got out at 61, so we're almost $60 saved by taking our stop loss. So it looks like with the trading style today, we are probably going to end up because I haven't figured it all out. I haven't looked at the P&L, but I'm both thinking that, you know what, we're probably going to end up in the red today, but it's going to be a very manageable in the red. It won't be anything outrageous. It certainly won't be over $100. And if you can walk away making a couple of trades and doing things that are correct and staying under $100 a day, a loss, well, it's pretty good. Probably cost you $100 a day just in food in Las Vegas. So
Order filled.
What's it called? Shut up! Dublin Bars web camera.
What are you doing now? Here it is. Good now? I can't hear you with dumb shit.
Order filled.
Okay, so how did we end up here? Well, let's take a look. On the AMD, we bought to cover at 45, and we bought to cover at 53. So it hit us on this small pullback since we were coming into the lunch hour. UNG, it did not work out. It got out at 63. Did it work out? So we covered at 63. We did hit our target. Very good. So I was away a little bit. I set those in there because I have things to do around the house, which is a good lesson in itself if you walk away from the computer. Don't allow yourself to let things run against you. So let's see how we did here. All right, let's pull this up over here, move it to the middle, and we're going to do it by symbol, and it is by time. So AMD short at 57. We bought to cover at 73, losing trade. We sold short again at 58. We bought to cover at the first target, half. We were going to let it continue to run, but we closed out in front of the open. So that was a profitable trade, small profit, because we walked away from the screen. Snap, we sold short at 47 on 300 shares. We did get caught on the pullback at 61. Would have been out sooner, but as you saw earlier, first time doing the video, trying to get the orders in, so that delayed us by a couple of pennies, so that was a losing trade. On the UNG, we got in short at 84. We did hit our first target of 76, and we hit the second target. So both targets were hit on the UNG trade. Now, what does that tell us? I don't know what the full profit loss statement is. I will figure that out for you. See, but I believe we're probably in the red or red slightly. And this UNG, okay, so we went in with 200 shares. If you were scaling up, it would have been a bigger trade. So in any case, let's take a look at Snap over here to the right, and let's blow that. Let's put this back over here, and we'll blow that Snap chart up a little bit and see how using stop losses helped us. Okay, we were short here below the bearish number of 1650. You can see it here, 1647. We closed, I wouldn't say late. Again, there was no close confirmation above the 4 and the 8 EME, so we did wait. It did close above the 15 and took off on us, so we had no idea how high it was going to go, so we pulled the trigger at this point. And then it did start to come back down. We were no anxious of what it was going to do, even if it came down and hit all our targets. If you don't re-enter the trade, you don't re-enter the trade. What happens after you exit is irrelevant. And again, where are we right now? Had we not had that stop loss order, and had we let our emotions get a hold of us of, hey, not another losing trade, or I'm going to force this trade, I have to be right, we're up here at 89. We exited it at 61, so 28 cents. So let's call it an even 30 cents times 300 shares, almost $90. So we did take our loss here. I think that was probably 15 cents. What did we have? 47 to 61. So it was 14 cents times 3 would be $44. Now we would be down $134. So do we really want to walk away the day with under 130? So walking away with a loss of 44 rather than hoping and praying, look at how beautifully we could have reversed here. as soon as she started to continue higher, but our bullish above number is 17, so I don't really like to play the middle of the field, but you could have done that using your exponential moving average crossovers and moving on up. That would have been a real nice trade. Okay, so we did end down on a losing day. Profit and loss doesn't really matter, but I can tell you it was a loss, not a big one. And let's move, let's see what we got here. If I can move this off the screen so that I can keep my account information private as best I can. Oh, let's see. I don't think I can calculate the profit and loss. Well, I can if I go on and check my balances on the other computer. So I'm just rambling on here trying to think as we go. And we're going to shut this down. And we are going to go mobile, and by going mobile on TradeStation, it will shut this platform down. You saw it just shut it down. And our losses were actually better than I thought they were going to be. And we will re-sign back in. And then I'll tell you what the total loss of the day was. Not that that's a big thing. Let's get her back running. We are back live. So our total loss for the day was a negative $33.50. We traded 1,400 shares, and we were down $33 for the day. So we're going to call it quits for the day. I'm not going to trade into the afternoon session, as I'm going to run out and continue on with my day, and we'll be back again with the next video. If you like it, please hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you again.